I'm ready. You ready?
So, welcome to the first episode of Black
Essence Personified.
Alright, our first topic this week.
Hold on. We gotta introduce ourselves.
You right.
What's your name, boo?
Right. Yeah, they call me Pharaoh. I'm just going to be here as your historian, your objective philosopher, and your quintessential man of enlightenment.
Alright, when you got an intro like that, I feel like... Okay, anyway, my name for this podcast is going to be Gemini, Nubian Queen, coming at you. Say it like you mean it, period.
Yeah, I put the dot on there.
Oh, with the what?
I put the dot on there.
Oh, period.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. What are we talking about this week?
What we talking about? Our topic is simply, what is love?
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
I can't be hurt no more.
But you can. We all can.
Not no more. So let's start off simple. Let's define love. You know what I'm saying? What is love? Let's do the Webster dictionary. You know.
All right.
People like a good Webster update. So Webster defines love as strong affections for another arising out of kinship or personal ties, attraction based on sexual desire, affection, and the tenderness felt by lovers. Affection based on admiration, benevolence, or common interest. And lastly, an assurance of affection. My Nubian Queen, my Gemini Nubian Queen, how would you define love?
I don't think I should go first because I don't have a long, drawn-out definition of love. In fact, I feel like love is undefined, or it's what you define it to be. Don't act like it was that deep. Your turn.
The poets would agree with you.
The poet gods.
I would define love. I always look at the word for defining love based on how my parents have always kind of defined love. So my mother says that love is an action word. Mm-hmm. You know, you can say a thing, but if you're not willing to put any action behind it, what does it mean? So if you're a poet and you write all these love letters, but you never show affection of love to that person, your love letters mean nothing. Do things for me. That is love. My father defines love as something we give something to someone else, hoping they won't destroy us with it.
Woo!
So I've always balanced love between these two things. One, what am I willing to do for this person? And two, if I give this to this person, will they destroy me with it or not?
I don't know if we really want to go into the spiritual lens here, but I truly feel like the way how love was defined for me was definitely within religion.
That's fair.
Right? And within religion being that, like, growing up, hearing God so loved the world, hearing that Jesus sacrificed his life so that we can be okay, like, stuff like that. So oftentimes for love, it has literally kind of killed the inner voice in me. Because even when I felt something, I kept feeling like, all right, well, what does that mean as far as God's love is concerned, right? And love in itself became a sacrifice of what I'm really feeling, sacrifice of what I really want to do in my life, the sacrifice in what I really want to say. At the end of the day, it was about that other person. Now I can say at 32 years old, it's not about that. It's not about what I can give the other person. It's about what we can give to each other. It's more so about a friendship and a partner in life.
That's true. There's this new study about love languages, and like I wish I had known more about that before getting involved in relationships. Because when you take that love language test, you realize that how you interpret love, how we all interpret love is different.
Yes.
You know, some of us need words of affirmation. We need people to build us up and make us feel like we're special. Some of us like to shower with gifts. If you're not blessing me with things, you don't really love me, you know. Some people it's just physical touch. I need you to touch me. I need to feel
and love. Not even just in a sexual way.
Yeah,
a lot of people get that mixed up.
Hold me, you know, just be on top of me, you know. What's the other one? Quality time.
Did you say gifts too?
Yes, it's just quality time. Some people just want to spend time with you.
Yeah,
they don't want
that's me.
You know, they don't need much. You know, they don't want the world. You know, they don't want the gifts. They just want you.
I want your company and I want your undivided attention.
Yes. So I think,
like this for me, is a sign that you love me, right?
Yes.
And it may seem like very simple for certain people. They're like, okay, what's the point? This, that, blah, blah, blah. But like you saying, I'm going to take time out of my day to not only show you how much I love you, but also to hear from you, to know what you're thinking in that moment, what you're feeling. And you know that I feel that way just from being in your presence, that I'm willing to do the same. Like that
is love.
Is the essence of love.
So I think what we have to separate is there's different levels of love, you know. I think human beings naturally experience love for people they spend a lot of time with. And I've known you since what, like second or first grade?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Long time.
It's been a very long
Not
time.
diapers, but you know. Yeah.
But on the other side, there is what I call the romantic love. And I think that's the love we all struggle with. Some of us more than others. Is love not for someone who's, a family member, but love for someone who's that other thing. That romantic thing we all kind of desire, that filling of a hole that we're supposedly all having in us, that love tells us we're supposed to fill with another human being. And I think we ought to talk about that.
Well, I also think we also underestimate mental health and how trauma plays a role in how we look at love in general. Right?
That's very true.
So in your first 5 years of life, you are learning not only a little bit about response time and who's paying attention to you, affection, what does that feel like? Something as simple as a baby's cry, right? Yes. Is that cry acknowledged? Do people care about you? You're automatically feeling some sort of love, even from every time that you eat. So, we don't really talk about it enough. I don't want to say we as in, the whole black population. Yes. But from what I know culturally, I feel like a lot of things, trauma that hasn't been dealt with, we don't realize that it passes on to that next generation.
True.
And that could very well define what love looks like, feels like, what we want. And we don't even know what we crave.
Love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Something I've been realizing is we all have a romantic view of something we all think we're supposed to have. We don't actually talk about love. We don't break it down. We don't talk about what it's supposed to mean to us directly, how we envision love to happen. We're just all telling each other, find someone to fall in love with. You'll know when you know.
Right,
and it becomes unmeasurable. And I think anything in human society that's unmeasurable is open to a lot of hits and misses. Our generation definitely seems to be missing a little bit more with relationships. I would say compared to not so much our parents' generation, because they're really the divorce generation, but our grandparents' generation, where they seem to have gotten with each other and stayed with each other till the end. That doesn't seem to be as much the case now with our group. So I think the question is, what do you envision love to be?
I mean, I kind of answered a little bit when I started to define it myself by saying that I do believe in a partnership. And when I say a partnership, means that we are growing individually so that we can be stronger together. That's right? So I envision the ACE relationship to be a relationship that is I know you well enough to know that you can do better. I can push you to do better. I can not only push you, but also I can bring you back, right? So, if we became millionaires in whatever sense, my job would be okay, let me humble you a little bit. And not humble you, to make you feel less good about yourself. No, humble you to the point where I say, okay, let's not forget where we came from. Let's go back into our communities. How are we going to invest in this? How are we going to make sure that our communities are set so that we can have our next generation expand and be powerful beings?
There's a little bit of accountability in your love.
Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And we should all be growing.
Well, see, that's a real question. Does everyone want growth? Is that a real expectation to have of someone in a relationship that they're going to grow? Because I feel like I meet a lot of couples and they're stagnant. They're comfortable at the level they're both at.
But what's that relationship like? Spill the beans.
There's nothing going. I mean, what is any relationship but two people suffering each other?
Tell me how you really feel.
It's a little dark.
Wait, that's what I'm saying. Why?
Too early.
I don't know about you, but I've been in relationships relationships, actually, my shortest relationship has been 6 months.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not like short, but like it was way too long, way much longer than it should have been, right? But my longest relationship has been 5.5 years. And even then, I'm the type of person where I need a little bit of adventure. I need some things to change. Sometimes you're going to have the same conversations, right? Sometimes you're going to do the same activities. But when we're growing, that means that new person is approaching that activity. So you need to have those extra experiences. You need to be able to do things like, okay, like, what do you want to do tonight? Well, you want to do some dancing? Like, well, we already do this dancing. Well, let's try something else. Let's try swing dancing or some shit. Let's go on YouTube. Let's try a different skill. Like, there's so much shit out there
that you could do as a couple to grow.
Yeah, so grow mentally, grow physically, like in certain ways, like as far as like going to the gym, making sure that we're healthy.
You know, it's funny you say that. I just don't envision growth as a natural part of relationships as I see them today. I do see some couples invested in that, growing. Let's make sure we're moving up in the world, and they seem to be much happier than the couples who are just again suffering each other.
Yeah, but what about you?
What do I envision love to be?
No, what do you envision love to be, and what would that look like realistically?
So I will agree that I had a very romanticized view of love. I fancied myself as a poet and a philosopher. So all I did was read poetry and philosophy. And that version of love is so emotionally based, it's not measurable. You're searching for a feeling. It's all about the feeling. And I have come to rationalize my feelings as what they are, chemical imbalances left over from the days when we were wild animals. Sometimes your feelings are right. Your feelings are based off what you smell it, what your senses are calculating in your brain that you may not be consciously recognizing. Sometimes they're important, sometimes they're not.
I feel like most of the time they're not right.
Because you live in a world that is at odds with the natural world your senses were made for. So then why would they be right in a world with all this technology?
That is true. That is absolutely true.
You're living you as a human being are living a different lifestyle than nature intended for you. So there are things about us naturally that are out of order with the world we created for us to live in. Love sometimes hits on that. We are naturally going to be drawn to an individual to be a lover. Some of us are. We're looking for that. We're a communal species, so that's there. So when I envision love, I first envision a partnership. When I envision love now, I think about who do I want to rule my world with. I used to think about love as who do I want to spend my time with? Who do I want to be cuddled up with? Who do I want to have long, deep conversations about bullshit with? That used to be my vision of love. But now I'm realizing love has to be functional in the world we live in today. There are people who can have just an emotional-based love and live in their little apartment, whatever their problems are, and get through it. But for me, I don't want that. I want to feel like my lover is my partner in the life I'm trying to create. And that...
Well, I feel like you can still have conversations about nothing and something with that person as they rule that kingdom with you.
Yes.
But it's just not it's not a mandatory thing.
Yes, because the people who I've learned, I attract different kinds of people to me. So the people who fit the talking part typically are perfect where they are. They don't need growth. They enjoy the conversation. They enjoy life as it is. They're not the growers. The other type who are go-getters and they're not talkers. They don't want to talk about philosophy. They're so focused on winning in the world. They're not enjoying the art and beauty of the world.
Right.
So I've just learned to look for the latter. Because the other one, while there's a little bit more emotional feel-good there, the other things ruin it for me.
Yeah, we didn't even put this on the list, but we even talk about deal breakers. Deal breakers, because I feel like you can love someone and realize that they don't want the same thing as you.
Absolutely.
And then you gotta red flag it, cut that shit off, send it somewhere.
And you always find that information out once you're already in it. So now you're in the relationship. You've already made these verbal commitments. Like, yeah, it's you and me forever. That's what we have to stop doing. We get in a relationship.
You and me forever.
It's like 5 years, 3 years in. You're talking about it's going to be us forever. Well, let's wait. Forever is a long-ass time, all right?
Adrian's taking a while to tell me about this, but as far as being present, woo, that's hard. That's hard. But seriously, deal breakers I feel like it's just a fancy way of saying boundaries.
True. I will
Boundaries.
be honest.
Boop, boop. That's
My
what you
deal breaker
need.
right now in relationships, a girl tells me she doesn't want kids, that's a deal breaker. I'm not even going to continue the conversation.
Wow.
We could just be friends.
Yeah, but that's life changing. Like, people who don't think that children are a big deal, they might be like, okay, that's fine, I can rock with that. But no, you need to know that you want to be a parent.
Big deal or not, you're essentially a biological life form saying you no longer want to participate in one of the two fundamental purposes of life itself. To eat and reproduce. Regardless of all the social, economic issues we humans create in our world, the concept of not wanting to continue your legacy is just not something. I don't want that in a partner.
Okay, but it's not wrong.
It's not that it's wrong. It's
I know
just not
plenty
for
of people,
me.
and I'm so glad that they do that. They say, you know what, I don't want to have kids, and a woman has a right to say that.
7 billion people on the planet. All of you guys can't be having kids.
Yeah.
But I want to connect with people who do want that.
Okay.
Because I've been in a situation, and that it's uncomfortable to want something someone else doesn't want, or to want more of something than something want. That's so. It's your body, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta find a partner who wants the same things or the same level of kids I want. I want kids. I want a lot of kids. I don't care if kids are expensive. They'd be alright.
Well,
they
sometimes...
eat noodles and noodles and give them character. I'm fine with that. I eat noodles and noodles and I'm alright. While I sitting in the school and college, I did my part. Right? So they suffer a little. Builds character.
I'm just saying that, like, you don't have to be the richest person in the world, but you do need to understand, like, you do need to humble yourself. You need to understand now with these kids being completely honest and transparent. In order to well-round them, you also need to make sure that you keep good company around them too.
That's true.
Like, I think the biggest problem right now with society is the fact that we keep them in a bubble. But I definitely realize that I am changing the subject by accident.
Yeah, we want kids.
Let's go back. Should we get into this? I don't know if you guys are ready for this. All right, hold on. All right. What is monogamy in a world where people are constantly cheating? Can we tell them to comment below? Just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they can.
I don't know if we're there yet. But what do you think? What do you think?
That's a good question. Everyone's cheating. You know my view. Everybody's cheating. And it's the men. The men perpetuate the cheating.
Women cheat too, though.
They do, but I find that most women start cheating after they've been cheated on. And they realize that all those little stories about the knight in shining armor and some man loving you forever are bullshit. So they might as well get theirs, you know. Ooh. So, and that's not everyone. Just the one that I talked to. It's like they would have been monogamous girls if niggas hadn't done them wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So because men perpetuate the continuous cheating in our society, everybody now is cheating. Secondly, look at our world. It's new. People only stay faithful in old relationships. Actually, I would argue men were never faithful in their marriages. In all the history that we have had,
men were never faithful since the beginning of time. Is that what you're saying?
First of all, you didn't even start practicing one man marrying one woman until like a few thousand years ago. That's new. Christians really pushed that. Before that, people have multiple wives, a wife and a handmaiden, and the women couldn't do anything. Women had no say in how many sexual
Why are you blaming
partners.
it on Jesus, though?
I'm not blaming it on. I didn't say anything about Jesus.
Don't be blaming it on Jesus.
I didn't blame.
You said Christians.
On Jesus. I said Christians.
I'm just kidding.
The notion of monogamy for our society today further than any other groups did.
Okay.
Again, men would marry a main wife and still have mistresses. So pure monogamy is not something we ever attempted to do until recently, and it doesn't work. Men don't want to sleep with one woman. No male mammal on the planet wants to have one piece of sexual pussy for the rest of their life.
So what do you think about polygamy right now? Because I feel like that's a popular topic right now.
Oh, it's popular because people are just being real.
Do you think that it's possible to be in a successful relationship and have multiple partners?
I think the problem is we have miseducated ourselves by attaching sex and emotional love as one and the same. I think there are a lot of us who are able to have sex with different partners without it being an emotional connection, like working out. It's like something, a scratch. But you don't love these people. You don't want to spend time with these people. You don't want to be around these people. You found that person you want to be around. You found that person you love spending all your time with. But just because you love spending all your time with this person and you love this person doesn't mean sexually your physical body wants to only be with that person for the rest of your life. That's the problem. The body.
What you're saying? It sounds like you just want options.
I'm saying that.
That's what it sounds like. Like you can have a sexual connection with somebody, right? And it'd be really good, but you don't want to spend the rest of your life with. Which is the reason why a lot of men cheat, right? Yes. Because this woman is not giving me, this, that, blah, blah, blah.
She
right.
Cooks.
She's banging. She supports me. And
oh my God!
But
no one ever makes me feel this comfortable. But her sex is whack. It's not her fault.
Here's the thing, though. Like, can you teach someone to have better sex?
No, sex
because
is all about confidence.
In a girl-on-girl type action, you could definitely say, okay, guess what? Let's try this. Let's try that. You just have to have a partner that's more than willing to be like, okay, let's try that.
Do you think the average woman is talking to the men they're sleeping with about what pleases them directly? Or are they just taking the dick and licking their jit?
Wait, what? Who just happened?
Do you honestly think
rated R.
women, from everything we know, are honestly telling men what pleases them and doesn't please them sexually? Or are they just taking the dick and licking they can get?
Okay, yes. I'm going to say yes, but whose problem is that?
Nobody's problem.
No.
It's not even about being a problem.
Because you're saying, okay, a woman just go ahead and be like, okay, this is what it is. I have to settle for this, right? But hold on a second. We live in a society where also the man also says, you got to keep your mouth shut. Like, the moment you start complaining about shit, you're a bitch. Or their ego is not being stroked. So they say, I'm going to go find somebody else that likes this sex. Right? So whose fault is that the pressure is on?
It's not about faults. It's not even about faults. Men are the dominant group in our gender-based society. They beat up everybody. That's how men took over. We might have had a more equal society at one point, but at some point men realized they could just smack people and get their way. And because that became the case, the whole equalness of sex in relationships and pleasure in the relationship hasn't been there till now. We are only just talking about, maybe since the sexual revolution, maybe the 50s or 60s, whatever that happened, we only just started talking about women being pleased in the relationship.
Yes.
That was not, women didn't have to be pleased in a marriage. That was, no one said your wife had to be pleased to be married.
But people who are old school right now still kind of latch onto that stuff.
Well, even cultures from other places have that. The old world still operates under more of that assumption than the American assumption that men and women should approach the relationship as equals and partners. That's a very American thing. Maybe a little bit in the Western world too. I've seen English couples who seem a little bit more equal than the man is over and the woman is this. So it's getting there, but that's not the way the world's set up. And most of the world, women are subjugated to their men.
Yes. Well, I've noticed that still, even with Christianity, that's the push.
So,
Judaism, it doesn't even have to be Christianity. And all religions that we know of, besides, clearly the pagans. Right. They're all, say that women have to be subjective in some way, shape, or form. And I think that we should definitely save that topic for another podcast where we talk about what submission is and what the roles are supposed to be for the woman, for the man. And then even in non-conventional couples, because I'm definitely not conventional.
But we can make the point that pleasure has been for the man. And we have situated everything to be pleasure for men until recently. So when we talk about why women can't express themselves in the relationship and talk about what they want, why most women aren't doing that, it's because the entire system and way they've been raised is not to do that.
Right. But I also want to say that they can use their voice. And that's a whole other thing. They can. I tell you one thing, I found my voice. But, the problem is I feel like it all pertains to who you surround yourself with. Yes. What are your core beliefs?
Yes.
What do you really want out of life in general? And as we're talking about with even love, that plays an important part in that. Because if you believe, how I used to believe, that love is about sacrifice, right? Then you say, well, I'm sacrificing my sex life.
You're like the women of the last 3,000 years,
right? Right. But now I'm at a point where I'm listen, first off, I'm not trying to wait till I'm married to have sex, so that's a huge thing. I think that's we can talk about that for another topic too, some other time. But I'm not waiting for that. And if the sex isn't good, then I count that as part of the chemistry.
Yeah, it's
if
an
I'm gonna be with
audition.
this person,
It's
like,
an audition now.
you know, and sometimes it might be okay. The first one might be a little awkward, so you know you might want to have sex a couple more times just to see. Okay, maybe it was just the circumstance, right?
Yes.
Maybe it's the stuff around it, surrounding factors. However,
It's cool in the room.
however, what I've realized is that it is okay to say that sex is part of what you want. You want good sex. It's okay. It took me a long ass time. Men, they say it. She's trash. She can't give head. She can't do this. Women, we just be like, we want to be modest because we're like, well, we're still with this man. So if I say he's
Dick
bad,
Dick bad.
if I say some
Alright.
shit, I'll be like, I'm
2
not
inches
sure.
of dick her whole life. Bitch don't even know what an orgasm is. This is the real world.
No, I'm just trying. We gotta keep it. We gotta keep it real. Like this is Black essence personified. So you know, like it is what it is. But you know, like I feel like if we were to, maybe we could do a whole other podcast on like different percentages and what we think is like should be more valued in a relationship. But I feel like if the person, and we just talked about this earlier today, if the person doesn't like you.
Physically.
If the person doesn't like you physically, if the person doesn't like your personality,
it's over.
then what are you falling in love with?
Yes. And
what are you falling in love with?
again, here's one thing I realized: loneliness. One of the things in my spiritual journey I've come to realize is that life and the universe was birthed out of a feeling of loneliness. There was nothing, and then this conscious thing realized there was nothing. It was alone.
Right.
And that spark of thought. All the stars and things. So that's my new kind of religious perspective. So when I think about individual humans, that loneliness is so dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I would rather be in something not good for me than be by myself. And that is inherently where the suffering comes from. That's why people sacrifice. That's why people are willing to be beaten on. And and they know this is not right. They know they could get better, but they would do this rather than be by themselves. Because the truth is, and I've learned this, most humans can't be alone. I'm unique in that I can spend a lot of time by myself and be fine. I'm enjoying myself, enjoying my thoughts. I can manage. Most humans can't be by themselves, nor can they feel unloved. If a human feels they're unloved, those are your mass shooters. All your mass shooters are people who are so lonely, they're no longer connected to the rest. Kill it all. Why should I suffer by myself? So that is dangerous. But what do? Do we address the loneliness and we make people more happy with themselves?
I feel like we need to have a part 2, and for the part 2, we should definitely explore the opposite side. Because I feel like I would love to know more about that with you. I mean, I know you as a friend, and I know that you've been confident for a really long time in who you are, and you don't give a fuck if you're the only person that says, you know what, nay, I'm not in agreement with this. You know what I mean? You never fucking cared about that shit.
Yo, it's Dishes from the book like